Hello, fellow Rebel Capitals. Hope you're well. So if you've been following this channel, you know I have been talking about how these bank bailouts will lead most likely to a central bank digital currency. And we can already start to see this narrative being pushed by the mainstream media. Let's go right over to my Twitter feed and check this out. From The Economist magazine. From Silicon Valley to Switzerland, depositors and taxpayers are facing a mighty scare. They should not have to live with the fear and fragility they thought had been consigned to history years ago. What are they talking about, guys? They're talking about exactly what we have been saying on this channel for the last week, well, for actually many years, because I told you that the way they would usher in the central bank digital currency, or when they would, it would all depend on when we have the next crisis. You know, their mantra is never let a good crisis go to waste. So when we do have a crisis, we need to assume that the central planners will try to leverage this crisis. Right? And remember the Kissinger quote. And if you guys don't, I've just got it right off the top of my head because I used it in a whiteboard video today. If you control the food, you control the people. When you control the energy, you control the continents. When you control the money, you control the world. And there's no better way to control the money than a central bank digital currency. So you have all of these depositors that almost took a haircut with Silicon Valley Bank. Now you see what's happening with Credit Suisse. And you think those depositors are any less scared than Silicon Valley Bank or Signature? Absolutely not. So now all of a sudden, the normies, your friend and family member Fred, is waking up to the fact that, oh my gosh, the bank just doesn't take my money and put it in a vault. No, you lend it to them. And they're going to take that money, and many times they're going to do really stupid stuff. They're going to create derivatives. They're going to lend it to the next tech startup, which I'm now calling the next tech blow up. Erase startup. Get that out of your vocabulary. Just replace startup with blow up, especially in the tech space. And I think that's far more accurate. Use that on a whiteboard video today. And then they're also, a case of Credit Suisse, they're most likely lending it to arms dealers or money launderers or terrorists or who knows what the heck. I mean, they've been accused of some pretty substantial crimes. But the normie is starting to wake up to this. Well, wait a minute. You mean you don't have any of my money? Like, I just lent it to you and you can lose it? So then, just like we said in the last video, the humanity looks for stability. So then the global elite come in armed with the media on their white horse and say, we've got the solution. Why on earth have you been putting your good faith in banks and depositing your money there when they can go bust? This doesn't even make sense. So why should we even raise the FDIC limit? We've got the ultimate solution. Why don't we just take all these deposits, and instead of having them on the balance sheet of a bank that can go out of business, we just put them on the balance sheet of the central bank. Whether that's the Bank of Japan, the Fed, the ECB, it doesn't matter. We'll just put your hard-earned money at the Federal Reserve, and you never have to worry about it again. Just like The Economist is saying today, just days after we started talking about this on the Rebel Capitalist channel. To go back to their quote from their tweet, depositors and taxpayers are facing a mighty scare. They should not have to live with the fear and fragility that they thought had been consigned to history years ago, meaning a bank run or a bank going bust and therefore they lose their deposits. So insert solution, obviously, a central bank digital currency. Again, what's the price that you have to pay for security, Safety, always the same. It's your freedom. It's your freedom. And I'm very concerned that the taxpayers and depositors that The Economist is talking about doesn't see what's going on behind the scenes. And they look at this, or they will see this, as just a no-brainer solution. That once the politicians start talking about this, the average Joe or your friend and family member Fred is going to be, yeah, yes. Why on earth do I want my deposit at Silicon Valley Bank or Signature Bank or Credit Suisse when I could just have it at the Federal Reserve? This is an easy decision to make. And then, once again, the Malthusian cult takes advantage of that crisis. They never let a good crisis go to waste. I think this is kind of their MO. They've got a game plan. They've got a specific strategy. It's like they're looking at a chessboard here, and they sit back and wait. Sometimes they'll try to push things a little bit over here or over here, but then they just wait for a crisis. It pops up, boom, execute the game plan. And they're just waiting in the shadow, not really in the shadows, they're just waiting out in the open, doing these blog posts about the Great Reset agenda in between crises situations. But they know that the crises are going to happen more and more frequently because they're not stupid. They realize the same things that we realize, that the system itself is fundamentally broken. And they're going to use that to their advantage. So the main thing here is rebel capitalists. Make sure that you're paying attention to this narrative, because I believe you're going to see it more and more and more. How we don't even need the FDIC. First, it'll be FDIC from 250 to infinity. Then it'll be, why do we even need the FDIC? Then I think you're going to see more and more and more, especially if we start to see more and more cracks within the banking system itself. You're going to see this narrative turn into a fever pitch, a hysteria, that we have to do something immediately. And again, that will be taking the deposits from the commercial banks over to your nearest central bank. And then that is effectively the CBDC. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. As always, make sure that you're standing up for freedom, liberty, free market capitalism. See you in the next video.